Hey there, this is Jennifer Terri. I make travel updates. In today's video, we'll talk about US travel update. And I think you've already heard the news that the US will lift its travel bans on all countries, and they will allow air passengers who are fully vaccinated and will undergo testing and contact tracing. The US officially announced last Monday that they will lift COVID-19 travel restrictions on all air passengers, and they will require proof of full vaccination before boarding a flight and a negative COVID test result 72 hours within departure, and they will not be required to quarantine upon arrival. There is no quarantine upon arrival. So in summary, US-bound travelers by early November, if you are a non-US citizen or a non-permanent resident of the US, you will need full vaccinations. Remember that to be considered fully vaccinated, it has to be 2 weeks after the second dose. And if it's a single dose shot, the J&J, it has to be 2 weeks as well. And a 72 hours negative COVID test, it can either be an RT-PCR or an antigen test. And lastly is the contact tracing system. Now, for US citizens, permanent residents going home to the US who are not vaccinated, okay, unvaccinated, don't worry, the vaccination is not required, does not apply to you, okay? If you're unvaccinated, you are a US citizen or you are a permanent resident of the US, you're good to go. The vaccination is not required for you. Now, it was not immediately clear if the new rule only applied to US-approved vaccines or if other brands such as those produced in China or Russia would also qualify. But the White House COVID-19 coordinator said that it would be determined by CDC. Now, if you look at CDC's website, they actually accept FDA-approved vaccines or a vaccine authorized for emergency use by WHO. So for those who had Sinovac shots or Sinopharm shots, don't worry because those Sinovac po and Sinopharm are approved by WHO. So it will be accepted according to the guidelines now of CDC. So there are 7 vaccines approved by WHO: Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, COVID Shield, AstraZeneca, Sinopharm, and Sinovac. Where is Sputnik? Now, Sputnik po is not approved by the WHO for emergency use. Now, for those who will be traveling to the USA, okay, if you are not a citizen of the US, you are not a permanent resident, get your vaccinations ASAP, okay? If you're traveling especially this year, because vaccines have second dose intervals. So I know for Pfizer, they have 3 to 4 weeks interval. AstraZeneca is a long gap. I think 6 to 8 weeks. And Sinovac, I think is 2 to 4 weeks. So if you are traveling, let's say in November, and you want to be vaccinated immediately, I would suggest J&J is the easiest. But you know, in the Philippines, our J&J shots are very limited. Most of them, I would say all of them, are just donated by the USA. So get your vax ASAP if you're traveling soon. Now, if you're vaccinated in the Philippines, you can use either the WHO yellow card. You can order online. Put the link in the website to order. That's 300 pesos. But for NCR residents, you can use Vaxcert PH online. Free po siya. So yan yung proof of vaccination. Now, there will also be some exemptions for the vaccine policy, including for children who are not yet eligible to be vaccinated. Now, for the contact tracing, the CDC will issue this contact tracing order that will oblige or will require airlines to collect your information of the passenger, such as phone number, email address, and other information. Now that the air restriction is lifted, it does not apply to land border policy. So restrictions on vehicle movement from Canada and Mexico will remain in place. There is no update on land border policies. So how about the Philippines? How does this lifting of restrictions of the US and the requirement of vaccination affect Filipinos who want to travel to the US? Now, it may not be a big news. Mainly, the effect really is just because we were not on the travel banned list, diba? We were not a banned country. So the effect on this for travelers from the Philippines is that by November, you need to be fully vaccinated to travel, to enter the USA. Okay, kasi for now, it's not required yet. It will start early November. So for those with travel this month or next month, October, don't worry, hindi pa po siya required. Kasi it will start by early November pa. Now, about visas, US visas in the Philippines, the US Embassy recently made an update about tourist visas. And not looking good, guys. Now, there is a visa update on cancellation of B1 or B2 business or tourist visa appointments through October 29. Yes. The US Embassy in the Philippines canceled all visa interview appointments for tourist visa scheduled through October 29 in response to COVID-19 pandemic. So you guys can reschedule your canceled visa interview once routine visa services resume by contacting the embassy call center or through the appointment system. There's no need to contact them at this time. The resumption on routine visa services is a country-by-country basis. So of course, the embassy will prioritize the health and the safety of their staff, the embassy staff. And as you know, like especially in Manila, cases are really high. Now, as country-specific conditions improve, embassies and consulate will begin providing additional services. Now, don't worry because your MRV fee or the validity of your payment is extended until September 30, 2022 to allow applicants who were unable to schedule a visa appointment because of the pandemic. And the US Embassy is still operating on reduced staffing. But there are priorities. So they have actually a system, a triage system for priorities. For non-immigrant visa, the embassy will prioritize travelers with urgent, okay? Urgent means it's a matter of life and death, travel needs. So if they will also prioritize diplomats and certain mission critical categories of travelers such as students and exchange visitors and temporary employment visas. Now, visa appointments for tourist visas still remain suspended with the exemption of interview waiver renewals. Now, for immigrant visa, there is also a approach to triage immigrant visa applications. So these are the main categories of immigrant visas in priority order. The first priority, Tier 1, are immediate relative intercountry adoption visas, age-out cases, cases where the applicant will soon no longer qualify due to their age. And certain special immigrant visas. The second priority is immediate relative visa, fiancé visas, and returning resident visas. The third priority is family preference immigrant visas and SE special immigrant visas. And the last priority are all other immigrant visas, including employment, preference, and diversity visas. Now, I will answer some questions about US travel that was asked in my last video. Remember, guys, I made a complete Philippines to USA travel guide. For those traveling this month and next month, watch that video. For November, I will update it once there is a very clear na information about the contact tracing system, ganun. But for now, you can still use that information if you're going to travel soon. The first question that was asked was from Evelyn. Hello, Jennifer. How are you? Parang wala nang direct flight from Philippines to US because I heard Philippine Airlines already filed their bankruptcy to all international flight. Is it true? Thank you. Stay safe and God bless. Evelyn, don't worry po. Yes, Philippine Airlines filed for bankruptcy. It means they will be restructuring. They will mas mangungutang for fresh capital. It doesn't mean they will stop operating, guys. May Philippine Airlines pa. And actually nga, mas dadagdagan pa yung flights for late October. So don't worry po. They will actually add or increase flights to the US pa nga by late October. So business as usual. PAL is still operating po. Don't worry. There is a question also from Vanjing Carino. That's my auntie, by the way. Can I go to the US, Jennifer? Complete vaccine Sinovac here. Yes. If you have a visa, yes. And even by November, Sinovac po is a WHO approved vaccine, so it will be recognized. So mga Sinovac babies, don't worry. So this is the update for the US. That is great news, especially sa mga taga-EU. Kasi they have been talagang banned for a long time. this is good news for them. But for us Filipinos, the main effect is that we need to be fully vaccinated to travel. And again, if you're a US citizen or a permanent resident of the US, you don't need to be fully vaccinated to travel to the US. So this is the update, guys, about US travel. Let me know if you have any questions. See you again with another travel update.